An explosion can be felt protruding through the air. A hollow iron ball has been filled with gunpowder and lit. It was then fired upon the battlefield, wreaking havoc all around and leaving many dead. Devastatingly more powerful than the weaponry before, the cannon was mainly first used during medieval Europe. Since then, it has vastly evolved and split into categories such as the howitzer, mortar, supergun, and autocannon. Though the popularity of the classic cannon has yielded to more convenient infantry weapons, there are still models in use today. The basic cannon has a tube, carriage, and chassis. The tube rests on the carriage, or the piece which controls recoil. The tube also incorporates a muzzle at the front, trunnions on the sides, and a vent breech and cascabel at the very back. Additionally, there are also multiple types of shells. Solid ones are used for the destruction of ships and buildings. Hollow shells are filled with gunpowder and used to cause fires, and musket ball-filled cannonballs explode while still airborne. The basic procedure starts with cleaning the cannon. After it has been previously fired, the tube is pushed back upon the carriage due to recoil. There may be loose sparks around which must be extinguished. This procedure is done with a sponge head dipped in water. The next step involves inserting the cartridge, or black powder, into the breech using a rammer. The sabot is the piece which keeps the projectile stable. A vent will open into the breech, where a primate wire is driven and withdrawn. The carriage is then shifted forward into battery. To aim, move the chassis left and right. The breech sight is used for locating specific targets. The trigger is called a friction primer, essentially being a brass tube and a wire key. A striking compound surrounds the key, and the rest of the tube is filled with gunpowder. Looping the key, a hook is tied to the lanyard, and it should be inserted. To fire, pull the lanyard, thus setting off a chain of triggers, igniting the cartridge and firing the cannon. The history of cannons, their uses, and their components is fascinating and complex. This video will elaborate on different time periods and their outlooks on cannons.
Hi, I'm Mandy. The trebuchet was a weapon used during siege warfare. The medieval trebuchet was similar to a catapult or stave sling, which was used for hurling heavy stones to smash castle or city walls. There are 3 different types of trebuchet-like cannons, and they are called the traction, hand, and counterweight trebuchet. A traction trebuchet contains a short piece of wood to extend the arm and provide greater leverage. A hand trebuchet was a staff sling mounted on a pole using a lever mechanism to propel projectiles. Lastly, a counterweight trebuchet is an apparatus that counteracts weight to project objects. This cannon really helped aid warfare during early civilizations. Traction trebuchet was the primary type of cannon used during the early civilizations and were invented by the Chinese sometime before the 4th century BC. Trebuchets may have been used by the Mohists in China as early as 4th century BC, descriptions of which can be found in the Mohing Battle of Kashi.
One of the most useful cannon types manufactured and used in the 1700s was a swivel gun. The swivel gun is a miniature cannon with a special mount that allowed a wide range of vertical and horizontal movement. The mobility of the swivel gun made it a prime choice use on ships, as it was slightly more accurate than larger cannons and was useful in keeping enemy boarders at bay. Later versions of the cannon featured a breech loading feature, with projectile and gunpowder inserted at the back of the gun. The swivel gun, as the basic dose of miniature cannon, was manufactured similarly. Since they were incredibly useful on ships, the navies of several countries, such as the British Empire and the Americans, outfitted their warships with them. In the post-Renaissance era, cannons were a common sight among the armies of the British Empire. The British used a variety of different cannons for both attack and defense. For example, larger cannons were often placed in the walls of fortresses to destroy enemy vessels when artillery, or on ships to bombard enemy vessels or towns with broadside fire. British cannons saw heavy use during the Revolutionary War, as they were often used to guard colonies from afar and destroy advancing enemy vessels.
Hello, my name is Stefano, and I'm doing a project on modern civilization and the cannon's effect on it. Starting in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, cannonballs were no longer spherical. Observations made by scientist Benjamin Robbins stated that having sphere-shaped ammunition angled high and when fired, such as in mortars and long-range artillery cannons, made their shots less effective. He proposed a change to this by proposing the shape of an egg-shaped ammunition, which was more aerodynamic and could travel farther and faster when fired. The innovation of the cannon, or to be more specific, the cannonball, is still used today. Although common ammunition is in the shape of a cylinder, Benjamin's discovery still applies by the fact that he discovered that the more aerodynamic ammunition is, the further it can travel. This has led to bullets being designed with ultimate precision to ensure full aerodynamic capabilities. More advancements came in World War I when the British invented the tank. This allowed for mobility and strength for their weapons. Tanks were manufactured in assembly lines during the war due to the mass amount needed for them in the fight. The invention of the tank also changed the way modern civilization fought wars. The British and their allies had the upper hand in the war against the Germans because of tanks. They could travel farther into battle with less worry about being hit, which allowed them to focus more on attacking and their aim. They could also be used as giant shields for infantry and cavalry behind them, allowing the army as a whole to advance further and claim more territory. This is an essential part of war when you claim territory, as the enemy has less ground to stay on. Tanks also had powerful turret cannons on top, which were very powerful and capable of firing shells fast into enemy territory, decimating anyone or anything in its path.
These three cannons were very impactful to society. The trebuchet cannons were operated in the early civilizations in war. The swivel gun was used in the post-Renaissance era among the armies of the British Empire, and in the modern day, cannonballs were changed to an X shape for a better trajectory and a higher speed. The tank was also invented, which acted sort of like a cannon. Overall, the cannon was a huge footstep in the artillery and fighting styles we have today. It has a huge impact on how our militaries fight today, and it will continue to influence our fighting styles for years to come.